Christine, Archangel Michael comes with the authority of Alpha. He says that in our terminology Alpha is Father God, the spiritual aspect of God that does not manifest in the material universe, whereas the Mother is the energy, love and essence, also intelligence, that creates the matter universe. Archangel Michael ministers unto life waves in the systems of worlds. He is commissioned to defend the faith, the hope and the charity that is represented in the threefold flame of life in the heart of man. In the Book of Enoch, a first phase of the judgment of fallen angels is a flood representing the sinking of the Atlantean islands and the submersion of their civilization, as the last island of Poseidonis was struck by a number of cataclysms. Then there is a prophesied consummation phase, followed by a final judgment. In view of the fact that billions of light-bearers are maintaining a balance for the light purely by being themselves, is the judgment meant for mankind? Is it humanity who is at the receiving end of the retribution and the vials of the last plagues, or the fallen ones? I asked. We have been told that the fallen ones have been able to dodge karma. Is the bane mentioned in the Book of Revelation inflicted upon them or mankind? Archangel Michael, this is the return of karma for the people who are part of mankind, who have allowed themselves to fall asleep and be governed. They have a certain amount of karma to pay back. Although this may seem a bit unfair as their DNA was tampered with, what they are not able to put right, they receive dispensations for. They are accountable to some extent. The return of karma or some crisis sometimes have the effect of making people change their ways or force them to search for answers. The return of karma is for balancing the law, not punishment. You remember the messenger taught that God did not spank the fallen ones because they were not in the category of beings that could be taught anything. The judgment, however, is a word that relates to the seizing, arrest, and binding of the fallen ones. Christine, the statement was made in the work The Vials of the Last Plagues that the fallen one bound on April 16, 1975, was Lucifer. Archangel Michael, the binding of Lucifer was carried out by the 7 archangels and the host of the Lord Christ. He was incarcerated by a court of law or tribunal on Saturn, tried by the 24 elders. Then he was sent to the god star Sirius, where he was sentenced to the second death. This means the annihilation of the soul. It is not true that Lucifer was a good guy or a devil agent. The plot to make the light workers believe this lie has been devised carefully by the Dark Ones to lead astray after spying on them. Some astral forces analyzed the teachings given by the Ascended Masters in previous decades, in an attempt to nullify their good work, to further their agenda of control and oppose the divine plan. Many who followed Lucifer in his rebellion were brought to trial. The first vial contained sores, and the karma was to do with Atlantis and those who worshipped the beast, or were in alliance with it. The interpretation for the beast here is a false hierarchy, the rulers or shadow government, the Illuminati and Cabal, who have corrupted culture and turned the world into a kingdom of darkness. The beast is symbolic for the fallen ones, the Luciferians. They are a fallen evolution of reptilian humanoids, who existed millions of years ago before the Adamic man was created and who took over the solar system at one time in our galactic history. The beast, his image, the mark and number of his name, is in short those who have ruled but desecrated, polluted, corrupted all of culture. It's the karma of Lemuria and Atlantis, as well as those civilizations which have been affected by the fallen ones. Certain diseases which appeared in the 80s were sores to do with the karma of Atlantis and those who worshipped the beast. Mankind has also reaped the karma for the abuse of the feminine ray in the white fire core at the base of the spine chakra. It had something to do with sexuality and, more exactly, phallicism. The law required the children of the light to transmute the misuse of sacred energies of the seventh ray, which relates to the base chakra, the seat of the soul. This has been done as mankind has turned away from corrupt sexual practices. Christine, an important detail is that Archangel Michael stated he came for the deliverance of the nations. The souls that have symbolically been held captive have a connection with the divine. The image of their captivity relates to a conspiracy to keep them in limited consciousness, in the third dimension, and bound to the wheel of reincarnation because they have not been able to ascend. The fallen ones have maintained control of mankind throughout history, corrupted society, as well as held the world captive for their own gain. There were other vials and they contained the misqualified energies of the people of Earth. I have asked Archangel Michael whether we still are in the same situation after 2012. He answered, Archangel Michael, yes, for the most part, the light workers and mankind still need to invoke the violet flaming sacred fire to transmute karma in order to ascend in the sense of rising in vibration or of an acceleration in consciousness, which various groups now call the awakening. It is not ascension in the sense of total reintegration with the higher self. It is not ascension in the sense of leaving behind physicality. The higher selves are descending. The 7 rays of God can be released through the threefold flame. They have been misused in history. By the method of invocation to the EM presence, the Christ Self, and Holy Spirit, these misused negative energies can be transmuted. With regard to the 7th vial, it contained the karmic energies to do with air, thunders, lightning and earthquakes, but some of these events were on timelines that we have avoided. Christine, the messenger, said that the 2nd vial was delivered by Archie of Faith, Archangel Michael's divine complement, that this vial was in relation to the judgment of the dweller on the threshold, and that this relates to mankind's creation of an ego that represents an obstruction to spiritual evolution. The 2nd vial mentioned in the Book of Revelation created a pollution of the seas. The 3rd vial created a pollution of the rivers and waters, and the misqualification involved was persecution and rejection of the truth. The 4th vial results with heat through climate change, and the 5th is related to the seat of the beast. The 6th vial releases a war, and the Euphrates is mentioned, as well as a dragon, the beast, and a false prophet. Archangel Michael, the ego dies a little every day as the virtues transcend it and take its place. It is personality and has a function that is useful, but when the human being becomes awakened, it makes way for the manifestation of divine will. The ego disappears with the appearance of Christ consciousness, which is now referred to as the light body. In relation to the 6th vial, it's to do with the deception to hide the reason that the wars were fought, such as the one in Iraq. Yet the Armageddon is a battle at soul level in which the thief who comes without warning is the Christ, so prepare for Christ consciousness. The teachings released by the Ascended Masters were to provide tools to solve personal and planetary crisis. They are a key beyond the 20th and 21st centuries, to deal with the energies of the judgment, which is to be understood as a return of karma. The tool is the knowledge of how to invoke the sacred fire to balance karma. Christine, is the Holy Spire what the Golden Age of Gaia calls a universal mother? Archangel Michael, no, the Holy Spirit is the equivalent of what you know as the entire spirit of the Great White Brotherhood, the spiritual hierarchy for this earth and the entire solar system, and even beyond. Christine, the Great Central Sun was known to the Summit Lighthouse. Could you specify what this is? Archangel Michael, yes, it is the God center of the universe, not so much in the physical position as in terms of multidimensionality it is within. The distance to the Great Central Sun has been said to be no more than the length of your spine from the place of awareness through your chakras to the chakra that conveys full consciousness. However, in space in the center of the universe, there is a focus of God consciousness which we call the Mother, or the Universal Mother, or the Great Central Sun. Consciousness is sent to receivers on the God star Sirius, then sent to the Pleiades, then relayed via the Sun of the solar system, then the planet Venus, then the Lagwa and Yani Buddhas, one of whom, Lord Buddha, has now replaced Lord Sanat Kumara, as the latter has taken up position or duties in the Sun. Christine, in biblical terminology, man has partaken of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. What is this tree? Is it the false teaching that leads astray? Archangel Michael, it is a teaching and a system that doesn't lead to the fulfillment of the divine will. It is a philosophy, doctrine, and information devised for a dark agenda to oppose the divine plan of ascension for control. Christine, the robe Lord Michael wears is of a brilliant sapphire blue. It focuses the protection and perfection of the will of God on the first ray. Archangels Jophiel and Christine's color is golden yellow. Chamuel and Charity's is rose pink. Third ray, Gabriel and Hope have a dedication to the Mother Flame in Ascension. Fourth ray, Raphael and Mother Mary's is the Emerald. Fifth ray, Uriel and Aurora's. Sixth ray, is purple and gold, and Zadkiel and Amethyst is violet. Seventh ray, Christine, are the Luciferians, fallen angels. It seems that EC Prophet didn't know that they were reptilians. Archangel Michael, that's correct. We didn't want to go that far or into that in those decades. But the connection was made with the symbolic representation of Lucifer as a red dragon in the Book of Revelation. Christine, a recommendation was made to use the power of the spoken word in the affirmation of the judgment, but is the term judgment, which originates from works such as the Book of Enoch, misleading or out of date. Archangel Michael, yes, it's so many things. It's related to the opening, the activation of the pineal gland, the cyclopean vision, or perception that permits discernment. This right vision called forth creates your reality. You distinguish right from wrong, yet as you rise to a higher dimensional level you leave the realm of opposites and duality. The term should not be solely understood as relating to a condemnation of some kind of the beings who have controlled the world and corrupted culture. The other aspect is the call for protection and liberation from the controlling forces, including circumstances. Ultimately this leads to the removal of their interference. Christine, I asked what the words of the decree in relation to the Dark One's "D shall not pass" mean. Archangel Michael, it means they will not be able to infiltrate the governments, organizations, as well as people. Zora? Also in space there is a ring passanot that is protecting Earth from aliens with a bad agenda. The battles have been won in space. Yes. The situation is not as critical as in the 70s, 80s or 90s when the Rosary was recorded. But it can be used to invoke intercession as the battle continues in the Armageddon for the rescue of the souls of light. There is opposition from those of the Cabal who don't understand anything about the Ascension and hold on to power. The fires at Chernobyl and other places we have sent galactic forces to contain the radioactive elements that could be harmful. Not all of it can be neutralized, as part of it is the effect of the emptying of the vials, which are a return of karma that must be balanced. Christine, with regard to our galactic family, would the Summit Lighthouse react negatively to a disclosure concerning their presence and mistake them for aliens representing a threat? Archangel Michael, by the time First Contact is closer, its followers will have been seeking updates through other channelers because the messenger passed away and their practices will have awakened them, so they may have a personal telepathic contact with their higher self, and their Christ consciousness will protect them from making incorrect conclusions. Christine, Earth is quite unique. Will it be where people come from all over the galaxies to learn about Ascension? Archangel Michael, yes. We are traveling in space and soon will be in a closer position to Sirius. The planet has to enter an era of peace, then Earth can join the Galactic Federation of Light. Shambhala functions as a representative for the moment. Earth will not be moved to the great central sun, but will be a center of interest, a teaching center for the Ascension, as the whole galaxy must be raised up or the light must come to it. With peace, love and light, Christine.